I am Halli Casser-Jayne, and welcome to the Halli Casser-Jayne Show, where along with my partner in politics, veteran White House correspondent, and Time and Newsweek alum Matthew Cooper, slice and dice all things politics, and some days our lawmakers too. On this episode of the Halli Casser-Jayne Show, President Biden. It has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Are you getting used to our having a new commander-in-chief and an administration that prides itself on no drama? This week, we take a look at Impeachment 2.0. Who were the winners? Who were the losers? Trump was acquitted, but more senators voted him guilty than in any previous impeachment trial. We move on to COVID-19. I had my first vaccination. You'll want to hear my experience. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis versus California Governor Gavin Newsom. Two different styles, but some say they got their states to the same outcomes. Then it's on to the Middle East. What's up with President Biden taking so long to phone in to our ally, Prime Minister Netanyahu? Good riddance to Rush Limbaugh, as we say, rest in peace. And what becomes of the former guy, as President Biden calls, you know who. There's lots to talk about. Let's get started. It's Halli and Matt time. Here we go. It is a beautiful day in Joe Biden's neighborhood, sorta. How are you? My friend Matthew.
I'm fine, but what happened to your death count that you did under Trump? I feel like, you should do the death count every day under Biden, too.
Do you think that would be fair? I don't know. It's coming down.
I feel like each day you should. I don't know, Halli. I think I think you're being a little easy on. No, I'm fine. Everything's, hanging in there.
Hanging in there. Here's how we begin. You'll forgive me, my irreverence, but Rush Limbaugh died today at 70. And Matt, within moments of Trump's Atlantic City tower being demolished. Does God have a sense of humor or what? Isn't that just awful of me? But I couldn't help it. I had to go there because, seriously, I'm glad this era of him is over. I do think where we are today in a great big way has to do with Limbaugh and the likes of him. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah. I think he had a big influence in terms of like conservative media being, as important as power broker as the Republican Party itself. He made that. He really made that medium, talk medium. It predates him, and there were certainly conservative broadcasters before him. But he really galvanized a lot of things, and when he focused on something, it caught the attention of a lot of people and made a difference. I think Clinton at one point sort of self-pityingly said, well, I wish I had as big a megaphone as he does.
And Democrats were never able to get there either. Isn't that interesting? Gore put
Air America.
Yeah, couldn't do it.
Al Franken and Rachel Maddow and all the people who tried to make Air America a bigger thing than it was. And for some reason, it never really galvanized on the left. And, and Limbaugh, I think he had skills as a broadcaster that are probably getting overlooked today, that he was just, he was just as a craft. He was good at it.
He was not afraid to say anything. And he said it bigger and bolder than anybody else. That was his gift. In other words, his ideas weren't all that different than a lot of the core of the conservative movement. But if you go back and you listen to him, you say, whoa, buddy, and he had that voice.
Yeah, there was exactly. I think there was no hesitancy about it. And, he had the callers call in, which was, he'd gotten from other shows, but I think he made good use of it. He was just... look, I don't share his politics. I think he was, could be a mean guy and, but I don't like to speak too ill of the dead, but he had an enormous impact. I think what was interesting is he was, in the end of the day, an establishment Republican. And when Pat Buchanan challenged George H.W. Bush for the Republican nomination in 1992, you might have thought, Mr. Conservative Limbaugh would go with Buchanan. But ultimately he didn't. He was a little more beholden to the party than today's people.
Those people who we're going to talk about in a minute. But I tell you this, I was having a conversation with a friend a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was last week. I keep going back. Time is irrelevant these days with the COVID thing. But we were talking about the fact that, who are these people? What are they about? Where do they take the country? Who are the influencers on that end of the party? And she went back to Newt Gingrich, and I said, honey, it was way before him. I mean, you can go back to Lee Atwater, who I think that Gingrich was his a protege of his, or maybe his follower. But this ugliness has got to stop. I don't know that it's going to stop. But in that respect, and like the man's dead. Oh my gosh, how sad. But not so sad. But 2 seconds after he passed away, by the way, Fox announced a whole new deal with Tucker Carlson. So here we go.
Oh, they did. What? Just
they're going to anoint him.
The contract.
He's going to on that new. They have a new streaming service, and he's going to do all sorts of programming for the streaming service. Have a podcast too, like everybody else. But he is basically going to produce new programming for that. So they're giving him full steam ahead. And I was going to mention today that last night, I think he's off the wall, and it's all phony because he was around. Tucker. He was around too long to actually, he used to be a mainstream conservative, and he was a good mainstream conservative. And this, new image that he's made for himself, is an image, and he's playing it for all it's worth. I know you like to watch Fox because of you. I do it every once in a while because I find it just.
I don't watch.
No, you do, but you're smart. No, you're right. You want to get the full picture. You want to hear what they're saying.
I think.
No, that's okay. I
don't think you could understand the history of the last 5 years without.
No, you can't. Fox. No, you can't. I agree. Although, I get into my, me, my gut, my heart, everything starts to go. You're so much more measured than I. He's really not, guys, but I know things about Matt. Nobody else knows. But the fact of the matter is, so I watch him, and he's a lunatic. He's absolutely doesn't even make sense. So last night he's going on about Jill and Joe Biden, and it's all a bunch of PR, and they hate each other. I mean, is that what he's being?
Yeah. Well, this is
right.
Yeah, it's crap, and it's not unlike John Kerry. Volunteers for Vietnam, and so they go right after his war record. I mean, Biden clearly has a long-lasting marriage, and, they go right to it. I mean, they try to go right to your perceived strengths. Biden's a racist. Oh, Biden's senile. Oh, Biden doesn't even like people. Oh, Biden's a rich
And they're damn good
snob,
at it. And they're damn good at it. And as we're going to discuss in a minute, the Democrats are not as good at it. Never were, never will be. They just can't. But, there you go. So I'm wondering whether, this isn't Tucker Carlson is going to be the new Rush Limbaugh. Okay, fine. Let's go backwards a little bit. Let's go back to last week because we didn't have a chance to discuss it. And I actually didn't want to discuss it, to be honest with you, the impeachment last week. I was such a wreck after that. I needed time to process it. And I have processed it. And I want to tell you guys, I've written a piece. It's on the Inside the Hopper page of the HalliCasser-Jayne.com. Matt hasn't read it yet. But it's big. It's big. I feel raped. I'm going to tell you, that's what this is about. I think that we just spent the last 5 years being raped by Donald Trump. That's how I felt after that impeachment. We all knew how it was going to end, Matt. We all knew it was going to end in an acquittal. Thank God 7 Republicans crossed, the aisle, and they're paying the price for it now. But it was a 57-43 vote, I think, and there'd never been an impeachment that had that many crossover and that big a group say enough is enough is enough. But it was a sad moment in American history as far as I'm concerned. I'll let you speak, and then I'll respond. Your feelings on all that occurred.
Well, I guess I thought that, first of all, I thought the House impeachment managers were very impressive. I know a lot of people have said that, but doesn't hurt to say it again. I mean, Jamie Raskin was really something, and but all of them did very well. I thought they presented a very strong case, and it's very hard to take something people think they know already and then make them see it in a different way, in a new way. And I think they did that. You know, I followed the Capitol stuff, I think, as closely as anyone, and I learned a lot that I didn't know, and I think they were very effective. And I think that made a difference in getting some Republican votes. But look, it was just clear that they were not. Well, I shouldn't say it was that clear that they were not going to. I think if McConnell had flipped, he could have brought a few along with him. But he didn't want to get out in front of his caucus or the conference or for whatever reason. And so he didn't move. And then most of them sat on their hands. And so, you know, a few brave ones, you know, did the right thing. Yeah.
I agree with everything that you said. Jamie Raskin is just an impressive human being. Never mind, you know, a house manager, or a lawyer. And,
no, you have a child commit suicide.
Yeah, and you still go forward and do what you have.
It's kind of amazing.
And he has the same decency that comes through that Joe Biden has, you know?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Right. So, you know, is he presidential material after that? You know, we all know that Adam Schiff did a wonderful job on the first impeachment too, but they're different personalities, and Raskin really, really, really has just an enormous character. Just, oh my gosh. So what happens to him next will be very interesting to see. Look, but they did make a mistake as far as I'm concerned with you before, so I don't know where you stand on it, but this business with the witnesses was bizarre and wrong. They brought it up that they were going to do it because of the testimony of this one Herrera. How do you say her last name? Butler?
Butler.
Yeah. Butler. Okay. Who had a Republican who had the goods on what was really going down on Kevin McCarthy. And Twitter lit up like the 4th of July. Everybody was so excited. Yes, bring it on. And I'm going to tell you why I thought it was so important they do it. Yeah, they could introduce what she said, you know, into evidence, you know, without having her appear. But Matt, Democrats lost on Mueller, lost first impeachment, and we're about to lose second impeachment, 3 strikes in a row, and they needed a bloodletting, and that would have been it. And they already knew they were going to they were going to lose. So they had nothing to lose in bringing her on. They had a week off, so the timing thing wasn't bad, you know, and screw the, you know, threats that were coming from, you know, the right. They'll threat no matter what. I think they should have done it. And it leaves a hole in all of it, an unpleasant hole in all of it, you know. Maybe if they had, maybe. So that's why I thought it would. And it was weird that they brought it up that they were going to do it and then backed off. But it says to me something else, and that is Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is weak. He should not be there. Your thoughts?
Well, I understand what you're saying. I think, you know, you had a few other factors in play here. One of which is the White House, which didn't really want to press the witness question. I mean, they wanted to wrap this up.
Sure.
So that's, you know, it's not their call. It's the Senate's call. And, you know, they had to make their decision. But that was a factor leaning on them.
But they had the week. Let me just counter with they had the week. They had the extra week because they're on vacation this week. Okay, so go ahead. Sorry. Just want to make that point.
Yeah, they would have had to stay.
Right. Yeah, but... yeah.
I mean, they're not supposed to take a break in an impeachment, but they might have found a way to do it. Look, she would have been a compelling witness on camera if she ever got on camera, because she's a Republican, right? She's of Hispanic origin. She's a mom who had a very ill child. I mean, she's young, she's attractive. She cuts a very sympathetic figure. There's no reason she would, you know, make this up about her party leader in the House. So, you know, very compelling. Would her account of a Kevin McCarthy conversation with Trump be enough to move votes? I doubt it.
But again,
he'd already been out there with the story.
So let me just interject.
It would have bled him
Good.
some more.
Okay.
It would have.
All right.
I think it would have bled him. I don't know. I mean, I can go either way on it. I can see why they decided not to, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. So, hindsight is 50-50 anyway. I mean, whatever, they weren't there. But I do think that it was an interesting moment. I also think the interesting moment was it Bruce Castor Oil? That's what I call him, who was the one who stole the coaster?
Yeah, that was Vanderveen.
It was I call him Vanderweenie.
That idiot.
I mean, they're all idiots. I mean, one was more idiotic.
I wanted to post him in my office in Philadelphia.
Well, see, but the good news there is he is such tainted goods, Trump. It's hard for him to get an attorney. And that's the good news.
No, he's got these slip and fall guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were ambulance chasers. I mean,
Yeah, you get ambulance chasers, and that's what he ends up with. And, that's what his defense was like.
Oh, my God. It was crazy. But then it gets you back to the war between the Republicans. And, as you said, so McConnell, just wasn't willing to go there. I have to tell you, I tweeted during it, who's in charge here? Who's the speaker? Who's the leader of the majority leader? Is it McConnell or is it Schumer? Because Schumer, I'm telling you, he's weak. he's weak. And right now, if you ask anybody, they'll tell you that Mitch McConnell is the head of the Senate. So there's an issue there, but. Hypocrite that he is 2 seconds after he doesn't do what he should have done, which was the right thing, which he never does. Then he comes out and he gives this wonderful speech about how, it ain't over because there's the criminal court for Trump, which ignites them into World War III. It's like the war between the Tates. What was that movie? The war between the,
The War of the Roses?
The War of the Roses. I mean, oh my God, how crazy. And then yesterday Trump comes out with his little thing and he calls, for the first time in his life, he didn't lie, Matt. He called McConnell dour, sullen, and an unsmiling political hack. True? He told the truth. I mean, think about it. First time in his life, he told the truth. But this, what happens here? Who wins, the tortoise or the fake hare?
Well, right now the hare's ahead, but let's see where we're at after a while. I don't know.
I mean, it's interesting.
I don't know who's going to win along. I mean, I don't know if we're at kind of like peak Trumpian crazy in the party, and it's going to start to, the fever will cool as he's in retirement or not. I don't know if it grows or cools. I mean,
well, I guess that
was a special.
Yeah.
I think there was a special Senate election, last week in Oklahoma. State Senate, and kind of a suburban district, and upper middle class, and there was one normal Republican running, who's like really conservative, and then the other one who was like, totally into every, lie about the election and conspiracy theory and stuff, and that person won. So,
No, I think on the local level, it's very clear in the Republican Party that the Looney Tunes are running the local level. They're far more lunatic than the Senate is, and that's why the Republican Senate is the way that it is, because it's beholden to the lunatics who are in control of the party on the local level, who are the primary voters. I mean, that's the problem. That's the problem. That's where it is. That's what has to be cleaned up. I'm not sure how you clean that up, by the way. Can fixing gerrymandering clean that up? I don't know. But I can tell you, Florida, that's the issue here, too. It's the issue all over Wyoming.
No question.
So I don't know. You're right to ask the question whether this is peak Trump or not peak Trump. Trump knows how to keep himself, 1 foot in. I think he's going to do, the hokey pokey kind of thing now, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. He doesn't quite know where to go, how to handle it. And I think lawsuits are going to have a
do with that. All about making money. So however he can, get money out of this.
Right. And keep himself alive. As long as he possibly can keep himself alive. Off topic to some degree, but Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, nothing. They've done nothing to them.
Oh, you mean sanctions of them?
Yeah, something.
For
what they did.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And look, more than half the House Republicans voted for,
Yeah, for the electoral thing. But I do say, those two in particular, and I think it's a mistake of the Democrats not to go there with them either, because, hold on a second, I'm having a dog problem. Stop it. No. I think that it's a fault on the part of the Democrats not to make a little hay about all of that and not just let it flitter off. But, that's Nancy Pelosi and that's Chuck Schumer these days, which is, they're old. They may be tired. They just let's just calm the waters, Let's just wave the palm leaves, take a rest, 4:00 in the afternoon, tea time. I don't know whether that's the right choice or not at this point, when I think that they've got the bully pulpit. They need to be making a little bit of noise, but that's just my opinion. And so I guess we've answered the question, which is we don't have an answer yet whether Trump is wounded permanently or not.
I don't know. I think impeachment takes a toll. I think if he hadn't been impeached the first time, he might have won second time. So I don't know. We'll find out. The important thing for them now is to pass some of the president's stuff.
Well, we're going to get to that.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, we're going to get to that, because that plays into it, as well. The Looney Tunes are out there. The Lindsey Graham, the Ron Johnson. It wasn't an armed insurrection. I mean, that quote will go with him to the day he dies, probably on his tombstone. It's also crazy. And then there's Texas, which is freezing itself to death right now. And I think it's important to bring that up at this moment because this was what republicanism does to states. This is it. Austerity, countering climate change, countering, science. And it leaves you right where Texas is at the moment. And to my friends, and I have many who are suffering unmercifully, if you could hear some of the stories I am hearing, Matt, it just break your heart. But, this is what republicanism is. Cutting corners, save the dime unless we need to spend it for ourselves. It's an awful thing. It's an awful thing. And Ted Cruz, for the first time in his life, was speechless this morning. Did you see what he said? I got nothing. He said, I got nothing. I got nothing. Meaning, you're right. This is a mess. Ted Cruz.
Yeah, well, I guess they can keep blaming AOC.
Oh, God, poor AOC. So before we get to COVID, let me clean up a couple of notes that I have here and we'll go a little crazy after that. But Nikki Haley opened her mouth the last day during the hearing.
Yeah.
Again, because she's like, lean to the left, lean to the right, stand up, sit down, fight. This woman has no clue where she is or what she's doing. I think she finished herself off. What do you think? If for a presidential run. I mean, she'll run, but...
who knows? I mean, she's sort of... I don't think her break with him was dramatic enough to say that she's...
No, I don't think that was what did her in. I think what did her in is on Monday she says one thing, on Tuesday she says another, and on Thursday she says another.
She's been trying to do both.
And
leave him alone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, she's all over the place.
How could we have followed him?
Yeah. So that hurts you when that's on videotape, and you can go ahead and use that if somebody runs, and her own party will beat her up on that. So I just want to throw that Nikki Haley thing in there as well. But I'll leave on the subject of the impeachment. When a coup attempt goes unpunished, it becomes a training exercise. That's fact, Matt. So you know what? Who knows where all of that leads to next? We will move on, unless you have anything else to say on the subject.
No, I mean, they are arresting people, but it would have been better if Trump was convicted.
Well, will they get him in the courts? That's the thing. You think they're going to get him? I mean, every attorney that I've spoken to says, yeah, there's real stuff here. They could get him. And the case that the House managers built is, pretty substantive.
Well,
let's hope.
We're going to find out.
Yeah, didn't somebody file it? Yeah, yesterday, the NAACP.
Yeah, then the NAACP, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the beginning. All right, let's talk about COVID. So, guys, I had my first vaccination, and Matt is aware of my odd thing that happened with that vaccination. But I have to tell you, I live in Florida, for those of you who don't know, but I do. It's been unavailable. I just turned 65, so I can just got under the wire. But you couldn't get the vaccine from the state because the state was only giving vaccines to diehard Republican, parts of the state. And then there's a story, which I think was a national story, where Publix gave our governor $100,000 towards his next campaign, which he's revving up to run for president in 2024. Anyway, so the vaccines were hardly available at all on a county level, and then Publix, and then Publix only had a few. I will say that I think that President Biden's team is doing a remarkable job. And sure enough, they got enough, and they opened up the retail pharmacies, and they didn't ship to Ron DeSantis, who God knows what he was going to do with those vaccines, and he sent them to Walmart and the chain pharmacies. And so I was the first one to be able to get one at my neighborhood Walmart. That's the little store. I don't know if you have them up north. It's just only food.
Yeah, we have a couple.
Yeah. So in I go for this thing, and I'm scared to death because I have, I'm Jewish. I have allergies. I don't know how I'm going to react to anything.
You get allergies, but you go there, you're all bundled up.
And honey,
you get your shot.
And you're like, it's like Soylent Green. I told you off air. It was just very spooky. All of it. From the beginning to the end. And even how they gave the shot, which is they put this white thing on my arm with a cellophane piece in the center, like a bullet hole, where they jab me or whatever. And they're all wearing this weird gear, and they're asking you questions you don't want to answer because you don't want to give your life away, and then they're issuing a card with the CDC emblem on it. You must carry this around with you at all times to prove that you've been. It's just crazy. Anyway. Yeah, the guy's very nice, and he said your arms, I had it yesterday, he said your arm's going to be as sore as hell the next day. Well, that's no big deal. My arm was sore, not as hell, the next day. Thought I was going to be okay. And the next day, I want to tell you what, I had fucking COVID. I was so sick, Matt. Holy moly, my face was all bright red, and I looked like a chipmunk. It was swollen. I should have called the doctor probably. No breathing problems, but I really didn't feel well until really today. Just so everybody knows. You are listening to the Halli Casser-Jayne Show. The Halli Casser-Jayne Show posts new podcasts weekly at hallicasserjayne.com and is available wherever you listen to your podcasts. Be sure to find us on Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and on all your favorite apps. You can find the Halli Casser-Jayne Show on your Alexa device too. Just say, The Halli Casser-Jayne Show. Oh, and come play with me on Twitter at Halli Show Quotes. And I had the Moderna shot.
Girl.
I had the Moderna shot. My friends all had the other one, and they said it was the second shot that made them sick. So anyway, it's very eerie and what the hell are they really giving us? I've got a vivid imagination, my dad used to say, and I'm going off in my imagination. But thank God the shots are here. And they're here because of Biden, not because of Trump and not because of the governor, who as early as recently today said, because people were complaining they couldn't get it, he said, well, keep complaining. I'll make sure you don't get it. Governor Ron DeSantis. Direct quote. Guy's crazy as a bedbug.
Right. On the other hand, Halli, there was all this talk from you and a lot of people that, Florida was going to have a huge spike.
Okay, we're going to talk about that.
Much bigger than everyone else.
It did.
And
it did.
Well, it had a spike, as did everyone. But right now, California, which has had tougher controls, and Florida, very comparable in terms of infections, death rate, other things.
Right, and I have an explanation for that. Florida has a much older population than California has. It has a much more, a wealthier population than California has. It has a larger white population, maybe better educated for that generation than California has. And those people are not going out and haven't been going out. So where the virus spreads is amongst those, let's say 35 or 28 to, 55. That's the issue in California, which is not as old a population as we have. It has more people than we have versus here. And the other thing we don't know is the press has already proven that DeSantis, and we're going to talk about this, has hidden all the numbers. So we really don't know what the hell is going on in Florida. So that wasn't mentioned in that article. And by the way, there were 4 articles in the last 48 hours, all probably from DeSantis's press team, which is putting this push to put him front and center as the head of the Republican Party and the governors and possibilities for. So does any of what I said make any sense to you?
Yeah, I think it's possible.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not an epidemiologist. I don't know. But it just doesn't seem like the Armageddon that was predicted quite happened.
Well, we don't know because unlike New York, where they're talking about what happened in the senior citizens' homes, they've taken DeSantis to court on the numbers and have proven that he is holding back numbers to this day and manipulating the numbers. So I don't think it's a fair argument because we have the press, the Miami Herald, St. Petersburg Times, great organizations saying, what the hell is going on with this governor? He's not telling us the truth. So I really don't know what it's like, but I do know this. The old people here, anybody 60, and over, are not going out. And so the virus isn't being spread by them. And they don't have to go out. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to go to the friends. You can talk to your neighbor, on the road. So, I thought I read that. I know that. And it was in my notes to talk to you about that. So I don't think that is necessarily.
Okay. I just want you to be fair to the governor.
Well, I don't think there's anything can be fair to this guy because I think he's off the wall. But can we talk about this business with Cuomo and Newsom and DeSantis, which is being ginned up by the Republicans? And isn't it interesting? For the same reasons they're going after Newsom and Cuomo, they are not going after DeSantis. Now, I wonder why. This is what I'm saying to you. There's politics, folks. And what are Republicans good at? Going after who they need to get rid of Cuomo and they need to get rid of Newsom because those are 2 Dems they do not want running for president because they had these just wonderful images. DeSantis is the only one who's been truly proven to have screwed up.
But yeah.
Who is true?
But yeah,
you see what I'm saying? You gotta read these stories and understand how it works to understand exactly.
But the most devastating stuff against Cuomo came from the Democratic Attorney General in New York.
Who might have visions, right? Who may have things of her own. Look, he's not a nice guy. He's not a nice guy.
No, that's not his reputation.
Right? Exactly. So Democrats eat their own just like Republicans do, by the way. There is that too. But I do think that there's something strange. There's a deliberate assault on Democratic governors by the Republicans. And here's the second place that they're working on, and that is on the school issue. They have made it a prime target for Biden and for Democrats. Suddenly, they're the bad guys. They don't want to send children back to school. I find this argument very interesting for a lot of different reasons. If I had 3 kids home for the last year that I had to worry about getting taken care of, I would have committed harry-carry. It's like,
sure.
That's rough to do. God bless anybody.
That's not easy.
That's beyond anything that anybody should be required. And then you really respect teachers who have classrooms full of these little, tigers.
Yeah, monsters.
Monsters. Monsters is the correct word. So the Republicans have made it, they're absolutely going after Biden on this. And I got to tell you, my friends who have grandchildren in school are saying they're coming home. COVID is spreading like crazy. I mean, they're not reporting the proper numbers in Florida. That girl, Rebecca Jones, made that clear. Could you wait it out another 6 months, maybe? What do you think? I mean, this whole argument seems to be very strange. But if I was at wit's end, if I was at my wit's end, maybe I'd feel differently. Okay, that's what I wanted to make that point. What do you think? I mean,
well, look, I think people really, revolutions happen when things are getting better, not when they're getting worse. And
good point.
Now that the end is in sight, the cavalry's coming over the horizon. This is when people get really pissed off. And I think there's going to be a lot of free-floating anger out there directed at different governors. And, this Newsom recall, I don't think it'll happen. But
we've done it before in California. They got Gray Davis out of it.
We've done it before.
Yeah.
I mean,
I checked in with some of my...
popular.
I checked in...
And the state's a lot more democratic now, but still tough.
Well, I talked to some of my friends, in the biz, news business, and they don't think it's a nothing burger. They think it's a real possibility. People are just up in arms in California, for a lot of different reasons. So there you go. You have to wait to see. By the way, let me just go back and clean one thing up that you said, because there is that wicked strain of the virus down here. And the epidemiologists were on this morning screaming that they got to do something because it's like really starting to take off in Florida. It's like, like 100% growth every day. And it is a virulent strain. Apparently they think so far that the vaccines work against it, but people are who aren't vaccinated are getting some kind of sick and dying. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Be careful, folks, and take heed. To finish up all of this, can I just go back to one thing, which is that, because I want to go on to something much different. So Nancy Pelosi has called for a commission to investigate what happened January 6th. By the way, did you know that January 6th is a very well-known holiday that I didn't know until yesterday? It's the Epiphany. And I wonder whether that was a date that was picked on purpose, besides the fact that it was the vote. Anyway, just there you go. But anyway, this commission, do you think that's going to happen? And do you think that's a good thing? And you think it can prove something? And what's your thoughts?
I'm sorry, I missed that last part.
Oh, I said the commission. Nancy's called for the commission.
Well, sure. Look, yes, have a commission. Sure, commission's great. They can subpoena people. Well, have a commission.
No, it was the way you said it.
We'll learn some things. Sure, let's have a commission. A commission would be great. I think they should do it. Sure.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully something will come out of that. I'm not sure what, but hopefully.
One hopes. One hopes.
Well, I just want truth out there, just once. Just once. I don't. Let's say a commission finds out that all of this was true. Where does that leave you anyway?
Yeah, I think you kind of know what happened. I mean,
I'm just saying, what do they do with that information? How does that change things? What does that do? Real quick on the stimulus package. It's a very interesting thing that's going on with that package. I mean, I personally think just get the damn thing through, because the entire United States, Republicans and Democrats, are for it. Only Republican lawmakers are, because they got to play the whatever. I don't even care how he rams it through. I don't care if he does it by, fiat or whatever. Just do it. Just get it done and get it. But this $15 minimum wage thing is kind of interesting and bodes scary for the future because, of course, you got those Cinema and Manchin, playing their power roles now on that. But oddly, the Republicans are not against it. They're just saying, let's just do it slowly, which I agree with. If you're going to make it 15, make it 11 next year and 2 years, not tomorrow. So, where are you on the stimulus package? Do you think he'll just ram it through and that'll be that and everybody will be happy, or?
Well, I think that's the most likely outcome. I mean, I guess, Republicans have taken a, chance that, even though there's stuff in there that they like, that, they can say it was too big and it was too full of pork and it wasn't, target enough or whatever, and they can, all walk away from it. And I think a lot of the people who voted for impeachment are going to be very tough on this, like Romney.
Well, he's trying to pass some Collins. He's trying to pass some weird thing, Romney. Right.
Yeah.
Now.
So I think they're going to just put it through on Democratic votes at some point.
Yeah, and I was reading
you
this.
know, and then
Yeah.
and then Biden will own it. You know, it'll be his thing, and you know, hopefully it'll have a good effect. And if it doesn't, it doesn't.
Did you like him last night?
I got to confess, I didn't watch.
Oh, you should have watched
sorry.
it. You should have watched it.
I heard he was good.
He was beyond good. He was beyond
good. He had
yeah.
a little adrenaline going.
Leave him alone.
He was punchy. But I heard he was good. He had some, you know.
He had some pep in his step.
He had some pep in his step. You like that.
And Twitter in his eye, and he was, you know, he hit all the right, you know, I care about you, little girl, and don't be afraid of COVID moment. And he was acerbic too at one point, you know, when he on the passing of the student debt reduction, and he said that's not going to happen on my watch. I mean, he was emphatic. Boom, that was it. Shut up. Don't ask me another question on that subject. He was terrific. He really, really was. And I cried because I went, whew, I don't feel like I was raped by the president of the United States.
The bar is low.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, I felt like
thumbs up.
I cried. I said, decency, you know, prevails. Here we are. Look, I want to talk to you about one thing though that I'm going to disagree with this president on for the next 4 years, and you know,
I know what it is.
What? Smarty pants. What?
Country in the Middle East.
You got it. Look.
Bing, 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 bing.
Boy, you know me, buddy. But you share the same position that I do, I think, mostly. First president to come into office who doesn't call, you know, Bibi Netanyahu or whomever is the sitting prime minister of Israel. Doesn't call him. I mean, he's going full Obama on this. And, you know, I wrote about that back in 2008. In my book, you know, here we go. This is where you know, there ain't no place for moderate Democrats in the Democratic Party. This is nuts stuff. Sorry, but it is. What is he doing? Look, whether Trump was behind it, the son-in-law was behind it, their policy worked. It worked. Things are calm. There are now peaceful alliances. People are talking. They're not bombing. They're not killing each other. Well, what do you got to get in there and stir the pot? Over ego?
Well, he's not calling them because of the Abraham Accords. He's not calling them because of what they did to Obama and the Iran stuff. Well, it's not the fact that he signed an agreement with Morocco he's refusing to call Bibi.
Go ahead.
So look, you should have called him by now. It's not he made him wait. The game's over. He should just call him now.
Behind this is
I don't think trying to politically damage Bibi at home is a bad idea.
Well, I don't think it's going to work, so forget it. It's a waste of his time.
Yeah.
He survived it all, and everybody loves him. If he's going to do himself in, he's going to do it on his own part. He doesn't need Biden to help him. You know, he's got a trial for corruption going on right now, yada, yada, yada. And a left wing that's very strong. Look, the guy's had a hell of a run. I just think it was disrespectful, and I think it speaks to something in it. And it was a, you know.
I know, but think about the disrespect it took to go and do a joint session of Congress.
Well, I don't dispute that was a bad move for us, but it wasn't for Bibi. And that's the thing. We always
get to do.
Well, you do. He did it. And
but no other leaders could have done it.
No, but no other leader has the situation that they have that Israel. Israel's one of the few democratic countries outside of America, you know, in the UK and a little bit of Europe.
Look, as you just said, it was not a good move for Israel.
No, but it was back then, and why bring it forward? But look, a lot of this also has to do with how Obama's position on Israel. You know, I've always said he was a closet anti-Semite. A lot of people probably would disagree with me.
That's why Ron was chief of staff. Yes,
but it's politics. It's politics. The black vote has never been with the Jews either. And there is that. And that's who's running the party now. So there's that too. None of these people are pure. None of these people are pure.
I don't know where to begin.
I know. I call them as I see them. I think it's a problem.
Look.
I think it's a problem. And it doesn't have to be a problem.
There's nothing wrong with, I don't think there's anything wrong with Biden making Bibi sweat for a while. But, it's been a few weeks. It's
a month.
It's a month. All right.
So. And he wanted it out there that he hadn't called him. So there's that too.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Yeah.
If I was Joe Biden, I'd lived through the last years with Bibi and stuff. Yeah, I would do it too.
You would have done it?
Not called him right away?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'd make him sweat it.
Oh, my. Okay.
I would do what I could to help Benny Gantz or whoever else was.
He's got a team of very pro-Palestinian people in place. Even if Ron Klain is his chief of staff and probably the most powerful guy in the country, even more powerful maybe in some ways than Biden. And who's Jewish, that was the point.
Tony Blinken?
Yeah, I think Tony Blinken's off the friggin' wall when it comes to Israel. And there are a couple of others whose names I can't think of right now, but I see their faces. DeWalt, is that one of them? DeWalls or Walls? I mean, there are a bunch of them who are, whatever. Yin yang, who knows what happens. They're not going to reverse what Trump did, I'll tell you that. I mean, they're not going to go back on that. I mean, and I think Bibi did say last week, or hint last week, he ain't going nowhere with Biden down the redoing the Iran deal track. So that's really at the core of what the hell is going on here. I'm going to move on real quick. We're free of what did Biden call Trump last night? The other, or the former him. So we have room for other things to talk about, like Claudia Conway, daughter of the Conways, George and Kellyanne, appears on American Idol, and Daddy was there with her, and the shit hit the fan. She got on, by the way. She passed to go to Hollywood. Very interesting child, to say the least, with a modicum of talent to sing. I'm bringing it up. This probably is going to bore you to tears, but I want to say that we can talk about other things now besides who, because he's not taking up all the oxygen. And so there's this moment. But again, it became political, and now American Idol is thinking about making her a smaller part of the program because so many people screamed that Kellyanne showed up on video, and it's the redoing of the image of Kellyanne Conway. George is adorable. Do you know him? Have you had the pleasure to meet him?
I've met him, but I don't really know.
I find him fascinating. I really do. Absolutely fascinating. I also want to bring up, there's no answer to that. I'm just giving the information that happened. 2 female generals will be nominated for the elite 4-star command's top official said today, which is really something. By the way, also said they delayed it to avoid, whose interference, because they said he would have stopped it because they were women. Just thought I'd throw that out.
Unbelievable.
I mean, right? I want to tell you that it's still taking 2 weeks and more to get your mail across the United States up the East Coast because of this lunatic Louis DeJoy. I actually have 2 letters properly coming to me with the proper address, proper stamp, both sent back to the people who sent them. Proof. This is a mess, and now he says he's going to do it worse. He's going to eliminate first-class mail. He's going to triple the cost of whatever mail you have. President Biden, are you listening? Get that board off of the USPS, which used to be as loved as your local fire department, and straighten out this mail situation. Thank you. Just thought I'd use the airwaves.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Okay. And the other one that I want is Jim Jordan.
Yeah.
Announced that the Republican Party is no longer the wine and cheese party. It's the beer and blue jeans party. I just want to tell Mr. Jordan, more men drink beer than wine. More white men drink beer than wine. Beer drinkers have less of an education. So you didn't mean to say it.
Is that true?
Yes, that is true. That is true. I wouldn't have said it. That's fact. So
no, you
didn't know.
No.
So, Mr. Jordan, you didn't mean to say what you said. You thought you were being clever. You weren't being so clever.
Yeah, well, he's Mr. Ohio State wrestling.
God, don't even get me started. Okay, and the only other thing that I wanted to talk about is Kamala Harris, who I think is like being turned into something she's not, and I miss Kamala.
You think they're trying to make her too serious, or what? Yeah,
well, I think I think they've done a couple of things. One is she is not to Biden what Biden was to Obama at this point. They've completely shut her mouth down. Like today, she was talking about schools, and she wasn't answering anything with an honesty. She's not. The twinkle is gone. The smile is gone. Rare appearances, and I think they're just kind of like sidelining her, with letting her out every once in a while. But it's not the Kamala we know and we love, and maybe that's okay. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to educate her into a different kind of persona, more presidential, if you will. God forbid should happen something should happen, but she certainly is not front and center.
Yeah, well, that's not totally unexpected. While he, assumes command. Well, it'll be interesting. I think the whole question of how they do communications at a time like this, when you're trying to establish a new administration, you got COVID, you got Trump not quite off the stage yet, how you kind of coordinate your communications is an interesting question, but I think they're probably done the right thing so far. I think this town hall sounds like it was a big hit.
It was.
I think having the daily briefings back is good. Take some of the heat off the president, get someone else talking for the administration besides the commander-in-chief.
What do you think they aren't doing right?
Yeah. What aren't they doing right now?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think they're doing it pretty well. I think they were right to sort of go a little quiet during impeachment. I think they're right to make COVID the main thing and, have the science people out there a lot. There have been miscues here and there, but there are issues they're missing. The spike in urban crime is going to come back to bite them on the ass, and I don't feel like they've really got anything to say about it.
I think they're punting on that because they're thinking that when all of this mess is over, things will settle down again. But okay, maybe yes, maybe no. Just a guess.
That's been building for 2 years.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I mean, I think so far the cabinet secretaries haven't screwed up yet. I mean, so far so good, I think. It's only been 3 weeks, but I don't think they've really fucked anything up.
Well, I
don't know. Do you? I mean, except for the BB thing, do you think they've?
No, I think, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is running the country.
Yeah,
hello.
It's kind of nice.
It's kind of a weird thing, and hello, welcome to boredom, and I'm thrilled to death to be able to talk to you about things.
I mean, you can just have dinner.
So I'm happy. Quiet. Somebody with a motorcycle just went down the road. Hush. That's matzo ball, folks. 8 months old yesterday. So I'm thinking it's a good thing. I think they're doing a good job. I am very still concerned though, and I leave you with this. I'm concerned about Schumer, and I'm concerned about Pelosi, and I'm concerned about how what Trump destroyed, whether it comes back, things get back to normal, or whether the damage he did was permanent. And that is something we all need to keep our eyes on. Totally.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So that's it from Florida.
Take good care of yourself. Good luck as you move towards the next shot. And we'll talk to you soon. I'm glad you got through it. I'm glad you got inoculated.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you for tuning in to the Halli Casser-Jayne Show, a production of Resec LLC. The Halli Casser-Jayne Show posts new podcasts Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern, and is available at hallicasserjayne.com and on all your favorite apps. Be sure to visit us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and follow me on Twitter at The Halli CJ Show. Until next time, this is Halli Casser-Jayne.